All right, we are live and back for the Release 34 Postmortem live stream here. A ghoulish surprise do we have for you in the next hour and a half here. Wow, I mean, just check out this hat that Star has, just that alone. Unbelievable. So, Starlong, the community manager, Barrick, otherwise known as Matthew Anderson, and we also have
Chris. Why did I have to introduce
Chris,
myself? Why did you introduce Star?
I don't like shouting. I don't want to go too far over. And you did so well by yourself. So we also have a couple other people joining us on the live stream as well from remote locations as far away as Alaska. Gina is with us as well. Hello, Gina. And we also have Richard Garriott as well with us. Hi, Richard.
Yes, indeed. I am so far away. I'm, at least miles to your northeast. And don't forget, you've got so many mere feet to your southeast.
Indeed. And also, of course, in the next room behind us, we also have Lum, the Mad.
Steps away.
I will go get the new guys.
You're a little low, I think, on the volume, Lum.
How's that?
There you go.
All right.
All right.
But I'm still mere steps away. If I shouted, you could hear me on your microphone.
Probably could indeed. All right, so as you can see, we have a wonderfully decorated office here. Over the weekend, several community members on Saturday came into the office and were kind enough to provide us with a nice surprise come Monday. And they decorated every single room. We have different themed rooms. If you want to see each one, you can go to facebook.com/Shroud of the Avatar and check out all of those decorations. And we have, wow, we have some guests here as well. Who are these folk?
I'm Chris, new world builder.
I'm Travis, also new world builder.
Wait. Chris.
Hold on.
Chris, but this is Chris.
Sorry, they call me Seawolf. My first name is
That's
Chris,
awesome.
my last name is Wolf, so it's Seawolf.
Nice.
Yes, Seawolf. So his name is Chris Wolf, and
I'm Chris, so he can't
he's
be Chris.
So he can't be Chris. So all the leads got together, and we decided to call him Seawolf, and he can't escape that name now. So he's Seawolf.
Seawolf.
If it doesn't stick, then we will switch to my usual thing, because I think Tabula Rasa team won. We had 5 Chris's at one time. So no Chris got to be Chris.
Yeah,
we were all last name, so we can switch to that.
Yeah, there was
We get
Speed.
a third one.
Yeah. All right, and then what have you been working on before you came in here, Chris?
This is my first video game job.
What?
So, yeah. Before that, I just modded and I worked on a lot of, personal projects, just small games.
Swap the decks.
All right.
How many days have you been here so far?
This is my second day.
Second day.
And he hasn't run away yet. Wow.
Yeah,
Give it
it's getting
time.
Scary,
Give it time.
They're pretty mean.
Are you done with your first map yet?
No, not yet.
You want to show it to the players now? Is it ready to go?
You ready to show screenshots and everything?
You won't like it, but.
Just kidding. All right, and Travis, we've worked with you before, haven't we?
Yeah, about 10, 12 years. Tabula Rasa.
Yeah. So
My boy was a production baby, and he just had his 10th birthday. So yeah, that was that long ago. Yeah.
wow.
Welcome home.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So
Good to be back.
yeah. So we're excited to have Travis back. He built some amazing maps for us on Tabula Rasa. So we're excited to have him back in the family. So welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. And they're going to be building maps for us. So their first maps are going to be in, yes, and we have one more person we need to introduce that Chris forgot to get. Eric.
Oh, and also, did either of you play Ultima Online by chance?
Yes.
A long time ago, yeah.
And did
Travis, particularly, right? You were a notorious.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to get my name out. But
Oh, okay. So Travis might have been a notorious player killer.
I think my bounty broke 4 million, 3 or 4 million.
Yeah. So he's going to be involved in the PvP maps that we're going to be building for R36 and 37. He's going to be building those after. Right now he's working on Graph Island to get his feet wet. But as soon as he finishes with that, he's moving on to the PvP maps.
Star has given him to me. We're
Yeah.
going to work together to make our dreams come true with
Yes.
PvP stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That'd be great.
he's particularly skilled for that, having made other people cry. So, all right. And Eric, who you've seen pictures of on Facebook, building computers. And Eric, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Eric Bollinger. I do QA and IT around the office, general IT, desktop support, that kind of thing, and love working here.
And what were you doing before this?
Oh, I was doing IT work for the University of Texas.
And how is the wireless robot handling for the further ends of the building yet?
Well, we're going to need some new hardware for that.
All right. Whatever it takes.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. See ya. Get back to work.
All right.
So, speaking of new stuff, I was just talking about before our wonderful new employees came in, I was talking about all of the Halloween decorations. So you go on Facebook, you can check all those out. Thank you very much, EVL Guild, Winfield, Casey Cupcakes, stopped in and decorated, led the charge for this initiative for the community, Jack Frost and so many others. So we want to thank all of you that came in and everyone else that supported the effort to decorate for us, because we're a crowdfunded project, so we want to direct our money to development of the project. And so it was very nice of you guys. Thank you. A couple of quick community announcements. I want to get them out of the way before we start questions. We gathered all your questions from the main announcement a couple weeks ago, and we also have somebody who's also going to be gathering questions on Discord chat. So as a reminder, if you want to ask your questions now, you didn't get them on the announcement we made a couple weeks ago, be on Discord chat and we will pick them up there. Please use your display name that you used for the game so that we can find you and award any prizes that you may win. Well, we are giving away prizes also for...
Actually, let me clarify that. Please use your display name that you use on the forums. If you use your character names, it makes it 10 times as hard for us to get all your information in one place.
Thank you, Gina. That's right, on the forums. Please use that one. So as long as you're in Discord, you have a chance to win some really cool Halloween-themed prizes and get your questions noted.
And one thing I'll add too is we're going to try to get to absolutely as many questions as we can get to on air today. But I'm going to do like I did last time, which we're going to try and do every time going forward, is I'll jump on the forums after the Hangout, and any questions we didn't get to, I will make a post and answer those in the forums.
But don't forget that we have guests coming immediately after the Hangout, so you may be offline for a little bit at least to shake hands and say hi.
Yeah, please give us a...
we have Unity coming to visit, so and we have lots of stuff to discuss with them, as you might imagine. But I will definitely get that out in the next day or so. Okay.
All right, a couple of announcements. SodaCon. It's all about location. Where is SodaCon? SodaCon is here in the United States. If you want to attend the first fan-driven convention for the game, attend SodaCon. It's on.
I want to attend.
You are attending.
Did you register?
Okay, great. I'm attending.
So we've got Richard, who will be at SodaCon as one of the devs. Star and myself will also be at SodaCon. So we have 3 developers who are going to be attending. This is a fan-driven convention, but the organizers were kind enough to invite us as well. So we will be there and having a lot of fun with everybody who's going to be also there. Can't wait to meet everybody. If you haven't heard of it yet and you haven't signed up, go to east.sodacon.org. and you can get all the information there. Duke Violation is one of the organizers. Duke Violation in the forums, you can find him there as well.
And he is also in chat.
And also in Discord chat too, so you can PM there with any questions that you may have.
And a couple of things to note. Even we're going to be giving keynotes and presentations, but they're going to be a lot more interactive than you would see at a normal convention. You can expect a lot more direct question and answer than you would get at something like a South by Southwest or a Dragon Con or any kind of traditional game convention, because this is a convention directly devoted just to Shroud. So expect a lot more direct interaction with me and Richard and Matthew. Also, if you didn't see last week, we started a new community cloak program. So there's a class, the Gauntlets Cloak, for any community event, and we're doing special customized versions for large events. And the first two are SodaCon and the Ultima Dragons 25th anniversary. And the only way to get these, the customized versions of that cloak, is to back those two events. So if you back SodaCon, you can get this special customized cloak. So.
And please go to SodaCon and ask really hard questions and put Star and Richard on the spot, because I will not be there. I have to stay home and hold down the fort.
Yeah. No, but nobody ever asks me community questions. I look forward to that too. So put me in that loop if you want as well.
And while they're gone, I will refocus all of our attention on PvP so that we can.
Nobody will not.
All right. So another quick reminder: the Homes of New Britannia house decorating screenshot contest is currently going on. We gave this one a good amount of time to run, over a month and a half, to give you guys time to decorate houses, to get a house for that matter. And so we're really looking for, we've already seen over 3 pages, I think it is, of screenshot submissions in the forums. And some of these houses that are being decorated are really beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes down from the community, from you guys in the next few weeks. So if you didn't know about it, it's a decorating contest. If you have a house and you want to submit, all the instructions are in the forums and on the main website. There'll be more information on a weekly basis about that contest. We'll be even presenting some of the houses that have been submitted on a weekly basis as well on social networks. Other than that, we're starting some various other community initiatives like the weekly spotlight. So if you have a player-owned town or a guild or group that you wish to submit and get a spotlight with on our weekly updates, please submit to me, Barrick, in the forums with your interest and a little bit of details about what you would like to get spotlighted. How about we go to the questions now? I think we have time for
that. Should we do opening prize?
We should do some prizes.
Yeah, what do we got, Lon?
Okay, well, first we have our usual $10 store credit that goes to Care Dragon, CEAR Dragon, and also 10 Kodos worth $10. Those go to DeGriz. And we have the Magical Cycling Die, a 12-pack of which you can turn your armor or clothing into a rainbow and impress all your friends and or go to a rave. Whatever. That's worth $8 on the add-on store, and that goes to Husky. And we also will let you juggle zombie heads. You can actually have Wits and Emote from the add-on store, which lets you take heads and juggle them in interesting ways, which seems fair enough. Xander Xavier gets that one.
Congrats, everybody.
Congrats.
Hold on, I want to do a quick test.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look at the candles.
The candles look, yes.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, I kind of like that. It was moody. One clarification about the rainbow die. I put that in the store, and I said it has magical properties to hypnotize all of your enemies. Well, it doesn't really do that, so don't go into battle expecting it to stun everybody around you.
Okay. All right.
Except with your greatness, it'll stun you for that.
All right, so I think feedback we've gotten from previous Hangouts is people really like when we answer questions, a little less about our little expository statements. So we're going to skip our little bits of intro, summary statements, if that's okay with Chris.
I'm pretty sure that just took as much time as that normally takes up.
So we're gonna jump into the questions. Vermifuge asks, shouldn't there be a distinction between backer status, such as Royal Founder, blah, 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 versus your title? If, for example, a new title comes along, Governor, shouldn't I still be able to display my Royal Founder status through its gold color? So basically, if I understand, this is, as many of these are, this is less a question, more of a feature request. So the way it currently works is the title itself is colored based on which era the title was awarded to. So there's a direct one-to-one correlation between era and title. Those are not independent. That is the way we designed the system. Yes, the system could have been designed or implemented differently so that color and title could have been done independently. However, we felt that that could be potentially misleading and or confusing, so we did not design the system that way. So it could, yes, Vermifuge, we could have done it differently. We decided not to because could have led to some potentially misleading states. So understand the request, but we're not going to change the way it currently does. Vermifuge also asks if it would request it'd be nice to have an in-game event calendar. Right now, we've been relying on a couple of community-run event calendars for those. We have long-term talked about exposing those links inside the game so that those could be viewed inside the game. So it's on our backlog to do. So yes, that would be nice, and we do want to do that. Let's see, Coder 1024 I think wants to know, can we please change the format of current player data.txt so that it matches the output of the /loc command?
I didn't know it didn't. Maybe he's just talking about having it be a set number of decimal points or something. We can definitely do that, but it seems like you should be able to handle that on your end too. Why don't you message me on Discord and tell me what's different about it if you want to.
Okay. Vaclav, would you please change the next target key or add a target key that actually targets the closest enemy first?
So changing the target key, you can do. We do probably have a crummy default key in there. I think a lot of people change the next target key. Now, how the behavior on it is a little bit different. There's some logic that actually runs through that looks at what your current attack is and who is in front of you and comes up with a weighted value. So someone who is directly in front of you, but a little further away, may be picked before the guy that's closer to you but off to your left. We can take another look at that. It felt maybe it's just because I'm so used to Gene through each of the targets to get to the next target, I don't notice it that much. But it did feel like it felt pretty correct to me. But again, players can give me specific feedback if they want to on how they think it should be different or what it's doing wrong. But yes, we can change the behavior on it. It really was a very, very first pass that's never really gone back and had any polish added to it.
All right. Would you, again, Vaclav asks, would it be possible to move the crosshair and let us position for our own play style?
So I think
this would be challenging. We'd have to really constrain it, though, because it would lead to all sorts of...
Yeah, you can get some weirdness when you get out too far away from the center of the screen, just in terms of the math, and people don't really realize how,
I also think, we've already made so many things variable on our UI that it's really easy to get things into a really awkward setup. And while eventually we can add a lot of variation into our UI, until we come up with a really solid set of foundational standards like 1 or 2, it's dangerous to keep just pumping everything into being user configured when we don't really know if they all play well together yet.
All right. Let's see. One last one from Vaclav. Would you please make ground targeting skills centered with the camera in both third and first person, and both cursor and crosshair modes?
Turns centered with the camera. So I guess he means not tied to the cursor, because you can get it like if you click down at the bottom, your cursor is down at the bottom, and that's where it goes. You click down at the bottom, and that's where your cursor. It's basically right under you, rather than in the middle of the screen. Yeah, I'll need to go take a look at it as to how it's working right now, specifically to try and understand what you're doing. Again, this is another one. Send me feedback on it if you have this one is actually very specific, but if you send me a reminder on Discord, I will try and take a look at it. I'm pretty sure there's a reason we don't do that. We could do something when you do a screen targeted thing. We basically move your cursor to the middle of the screen. But then that might be disorienting as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Raven Swiftbow, what do the different colors around combat glyphs mean?
They just denote that is a system that Scotty and B and I came up with long ago that kind of denotes whether it's a beneficial spell or an attack spell or a healing spell, just falling into a couple of categories that honestly nowhere else in the game does it ever actually use those categories. Like there's not you can't mouse over and like healing and it shows. So it's one we can take a look at, but I mean, this is kind of, we turned Scotty over to do all the icons, and I think he's done an amazing job with all the icons. And I think they're pretty informative. I'm not sure what people were expecting, if they're expecting them to be tied to schools or...
Yeah, I mean, right now the colors are based on, like, does it do damage? Like, is it damaging? Is it a buff? Is it a debuff?
Mm-hmm.
Buff, debuff, damage, or healing.
I think the only time it gets really confusing is there's a lot of spells that do damaging, and they do healing, and they do buffing, and they do, so those can be confusing, but anyways, that's what they mean.
Zthrax, and I'm going to remove some of the emotional content out of the question. There's some what Zthrax perceives as a lack of PvP content in the roadmap for Q4. Are there things left out of the post, or is it simply not a priority? So this was a surprising question for us because Q4 is actually, compared to Q3, has more PvP content than Q3 had. In fact, we're both R36 and R37 have PvP specific maps being built in them, which Q3 had 0. So for us, Q4 shows a renewed priority in PvP. So again, this was a pretty surprising question for us, and especially based on the fact that we talked about we're building a PvP town and associated dungeons within it. And yes, we're not releasing very many specific details on it because we're still in the process of designing out all the details.
And the guy who was in here earlier that was the PKer is the guy that's going to be working with me and also with Richard on nailing that down.
And we intentionally try to leave our quarterly updates very high level because we've found that if we put too many specifics in those, when we go to implementation and because the way game development works is when you go to actually do a lot of the detailed implementation, that a lot of those things change, and if we provide too much detail up front, when those things change, we get a lot of pushback. So again, we actually are putting a lot more priority and focus on PvP than we have in the past. And in fact, just even in Q3, we made some significant changes, including forcing multiplayer in PvP zones, which was a huge change. And so if anything, we believe PvP is more of a priority than it's ever been. And so we apologize if we're creating a perception that it's not a priority, and we'd love to know how we can make sure that we can fix that perception that Zthrax and others might have. Let's see, Governor Ruin says that loves the concept of the bone armor, but has a concern from a single player standpoint that requires a group to farm. Will these be farmable solo? So they are not designed, the drops that are required to build those, are purposely put on very high level creatures. There are players in the game though that are high enough level and skilled enough that they can solo some of these creatures already.
There's quite a few out there who are doing solo right now.
So it can be done. You have to be really good and really high level. But there's also, the game is designed to have, a player economy. And so for those components that you can't fight your way to get, the idea would be that you would buy them from other players. So, the game is designed to have players cooperate with each other and not just for you to do every single thing yourself. And so I would say if you can't fight them by yourself, then you can buy those components from other players. Let's see, Browncoat Jason, can you please not force combat mode when a monster attacks us? Right now our combat deck loads, but we're still not in combat mode and have to manually unsheath our weapon.
So I think the fix is going to be to make you automatically unsheath your weapon, but it's one of those tough things because there's like out of combat stuff that if we let you do it when you're actually in combat and force yourself out of combat mode, so you can have the 2 bars and you start being able to overrule the bar, the bar state and have more options than somebody. I don't think I can give an answer. I thought about this one ahead of time too, and it would be tough to do that and still justify it. I don't think players really want their weapon draw forced, but maybe that is. And again, it's one of those things that may be a personal preference. So players will request that we do both versions and give them a game option. And if you've seen our options menu, it's like 1,000 items long by now because we listen to players too much.
That's not true. We listen to our players just enough. All right.
Anyways, maybe.
All right. A firm maybe. All right. Cambrius wants to know, will mobs ever begin to deplete their own focus pool when using magic?
Yeah, when is that going to happen?
Yes, maybe in some cases. But this is something you have to be very careful of because it could potentially lead to easily exploitable. This would be something we would probably use very carefully, probably only in boss level type situations.
Yeah, really. So the challenge with it right now is the person who's working on AI is completely overloaded and probably needs another half programmer time helping him out so he can get unburied, because he's trying to do not just combat stuff, but then also like all the behavior stuff, and then there's a lot of other things that kind of fall into this category of AI, including things like, hey, I want to lie down on a bed type stuff, because that takes into account nav meshes and some other things, and then we've got to handle like big creatures, and so he's completely overtasked. Adding the task of having creatures have to pay attention to focus would just bury more stuff, pile more stuff on him and bury him even deeper than he is right now. I think there's other more important things that need to happen. That is a long-term goal, is to make them obey that, because if not, there's a lot of these things that we just can't, like some spells are not going to be effective if you have spells trying to work, like casting the you take damage when you Torpid Torment, you take damage when you use focus on them, doesn't do anything right now. So in the long run, we do plan on having that. It's just, again, it's one more item that our AI guy isn't going to get to in the short term, but in the long term he will get to.
But again, it's something that when we put it in, we have to have the bandwidth to monitor it carefully, because otherwise it's I just get in there and let the mobs use up all of their focus, and once all their focus is used up, I wade in and kill them all.
Yep.
Which is exactly what players would do. So we have to have all the backups to make sure that that works properly and can't be exploited, etc. Grimace wants to know what is the best way for us to suggest or vote on new emotes, like Grimace, and Browncoat has a similar one, or add a Steam achievement possibly. We don't really have a formal way or best way for that. I would just post and start a forum thread. That's usually just the best way to do anything like this. Is a good thing to do would be, I think there's actually already a forum thread about wish lists for emotes.
Yeah, there is, and there's a specific wish list category within the forums, and we see all of those. So we always encourage the community to start it yourselves. Others will chime in and contribute to those ideas.
Let's see. Eden World Saga has a few questions. They purchased the /juggle torches emote, but it doesn't cast any light, versus like the juggle wisp, which does. Great observation. As soon as I saw that, I entered a Jira to fix it because that's an easy fix. Also asked, when will the light enchantment be available, like the light property on Night Cloaks? That already is and has been in the game for about 6 months. We added it when we added enchantments, so so it's part of if you add a light gem to an item, that's one of the sun enchantment options that come up is the light enchantment. So that is already available. One last one from Eden World Saga. When will the beer brewed from the Edelman beer recipe carry a special buff? We haven't done the design yet for a lot of the alcohol recipes, the final design, so maybe. It definitely is going to be a higher tier alcohol recipe, so that would imply that it would have beyond just a normal buff. So probably, good likelihood. Drokus wants to know, is it still in the plans to have backfire for chaos magic?
It is. I've not had time to do it.
Okay.
But I do want to point out that I did get in a whole new category of skills this last release. I meant to get in more, but I actually spent time adding more fundamental type stuff, which maybe we can talk about at a later time in the chat.
Okay. Let's see. Some story questions. These will be good, I think, for Richard and/or Lum. Baron Drokus wants to know, can there be virtue without anti-virtue? So there could be a balance between the two for either to exist, and will that be reflected in the game?
Short answer is yes. Well, short answer is it will be reflected in the game. I guess the short answer to the first part of the question is, can there be virtue without anti-virtue? No. So we thought very carefully about the virtues, not only how to express support of them, but how to measure and express your resistance or reticence or opposition to them. So fear not, though we don't talk about it much, that is deeply imbued in the storyline. We are paying careful attention to people who are electing to not live by the virtues. But whenever when you meet characters in the game and when you see us talk about it, we of course represent the good side. And even Darkstar with chaos and Lord British with virtue, as we have discussed in game many times, those are not in opposition. Those are not good and evil. But people who choose to oppose both of us, will have their history well fulfilled. Will have their future well fulfilled based upon the path of their life.
There's also a really good thread on the forums right now. It's called the Oracle Paradox, which discusses a lot of these. I've been reading it really closely. I'm pretty sure Richard has as well, in terms of just really high-level discussion of, how virtues apply to the game, how they should, and obviously no one, there's no real agreement on it. And I think it's very interesting in terms of what we got planned for it. There's a lot of people who really appreciate, as much thought as we can put into it, and we're trying to live up to that.
And I think this is kind of the same question, but he goes further to ask, will there be the presence of neutrality between good and evil, and will that be reflected in the game?
Oops, sorry, I muted myself. Well, the concept of neutrality, if you look even at what Darkstar represents with chaos, I would fundamentally call that a neutral, ideal. And so, we're trying to cover all the bases. If you go back to the old D&D, chaotic good, chaotic evil, etc. Lawful good, lawful evil. We're trying to do that same matrix, except with what we would describe as virtue over vice, and chaos / free will over something more autocratic, and or in opposition to something more autocratic. And so we think we've got that covered. We obviously are not going to start with a plot for game one that gives you a full, rich life on all 9 possibilities in a square. But yes, you should live your life out as you see fit, and the game should react rationally to your behavior over time, and your behavior over time should lead you to participation in the game in a unique way, which it will.
All right. Grave Dancer wants to know, when can we craft displays for weapons and armor sets for display in the home? We're hoping sometime maybe in this quarter. So just so you guys understand, in order to get anything that you wear displayable in the game, so clothing and armor is what's called a skinned mesh. So basically it replaces your skin of your character. And so it doesn't actually live in the world as its own 3D mesh. It's literally the skin of your avatar. And so in order for it to live in the world as its own object, we actually have to create a separate version of it to be placed. And so that means every single wearable has to we have to create a second version of every single wearable in the game. Not quite the same, but a similar process has to be done for every single handheld item. So there's a thing called a pivot point or an attachment point, which is the thing that says, when I hold a sword or a lantern or a cane or whatever, where do I attach it to your hand or your body? And the problem with that is, if we use that for placement in the world, that means when you tried to put the sword in the world, it would sort of float weirdly above the table because it would be thinking the table was your hand. And so we have to take every single handheld item and basically, again, make another version of it, another data point version of it that says, no, don't use that pivot point, use a different one that says, okay, lay flat on the table, or hang from this sword hanger, etc. And so at this point, it's just a massive data task to go through all of those items. But we're going to start work on those later in this release, which means hopefully by the end of the year, you'll start seeing things like, first you'll probably see like weapons, anything you can hold in your hands, because that's a slightly easier task than the wearables. So you'll start seeing all those things by the end of the year be placeable as decorations. I know that was a longer answer than just when, but I just wanted you guys to understand like what the task involved was, simple, more than just later this year. Because I just learned all the steps that it takes.
Can I pull a quick question from chat real quick?
Sure.
I already answered it. I just wanted to get for people who weren't watching chat. Roper Doc Holiday wants to know, are we ever going to add a way in game to see your virtue value like we did before with stats? Answer: no, never, never, ever, 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 ever. That was a bug. No. Thank you.
Now they've got the cloak where they can see through the cloak.
No. They want to see the actual numbers because they were running competitions about who was the most virtuous, which.
They just have to sit next to each other and see who's brighter.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a cloak. Wear your cloak.
And Star, of course, has never heard this before, but Richard's heard it before, so I feel it's okay to say, because anything Richard signs off on, Star definitely has to be okay with. The PvP town that is coming up, one of the aspects of it is there's actually 2 towns that are across the bay from each other. One of them is the NPCs and vendors will only deal with positive virtue people. The other one on the other side of the bay will only deal with negative virtue people. So, see, Richard's nodding. We've talked about this. That's one of those things. There's kind of the good side and the bad side, the virtuous and the not so virtuous.
And we could actually make it to where, on the virtuous side, the more virtuous you are, the better deal they give you, and vice versa on the other side. But and Scott, if you ever were so inclined, I'd be fine to let you do the Oracle as a magic mirror, where you can go, Oracle, standing before me, am I more virtuous than Lum? And the oracle can say, why, yes, you are the most virtuous one around.
We can't actually do that for technical reasons unless they were both right there.
Oh, well. Nice idea, though.
Well, but we could do it if they were both standing right there. As we sign on the
anyway, someday we could. I'm not trying to hit our priority list.
Moving on. All right. Delib Karna. You have previously mentioned that we'd be able to take add-on things like armor and weapons and somehow get molds of it and craft without the indestructible part, of course. Any more details on this timeline, etc. Maybe have details, sort of. So basically, the way it might work, and I'm going to say might because we're still working out technical aspects, but the way it would probably work is if you've crafted weapons you're familiar with, there are we've used molds, blade molds, and so you'd have something similar, a consumable that would define the shape, the look of something. And so what you might get with the purchase of, say, a set of armor would be a set of molds, like X number of molds, and you would be able to use those to make armor that looked just like that armor that you bought off the store. And you could buy to use to craft armor that you could enchant and upgrade, etc. So that would be a way that we're exploring that would work. And so one of the things we've talked about is that if you buy, like, say, the Elven fire armor, you could have, it could come with like a 6-pack of these molds, or you could buy these molds separately. But we're still designing that. Do not take anything I've just said as the final design, because we haven't even implemented it yet. Haven't even started working on it yet. Don't even have an ETA on when that will go live.
You did not use the correct phrase.
Don't lawyer me, bro.
Yeah.
Do we want to do prizes?
Prizes,
Players
yes.
want us to do prizes.
Prizes.
We have to stand in for 1 second.
We do prizes? I didn't know that. Okay, $10 store credit goes to Event Horizon. 10 Kodos. Yeah, that was a good movie. I liked it. 10 Kodos goes to Buddy Green. I have no idea what he's referring to. And we also, this prize round is focused on jack-o'-lanterns. You can juggle jack-o'-lanterns for $5 with the add-on store, and Flash Lightning will let you do that. And we also have the 2016 model of the jack-o'-lantern glowing mask. Lace is the winner of the jack-o'-lantern glowing mask, which you can get the add-on store for $10.
Congratulations, winners. So one thing to further that as well, a couple releases ago we added like a new elven sword. One of the things we're discussing too is adding more of those specific weapons and armor for the races as drops. So, if you're fighting elves, you'll get, elven swords, elven armor. Fighting kobolds, you'll get elven armor. A kobold armor or kobold weapons, and then you'll be able to salvage those armor weapons that you get from them. Be able to get components and/or molds from salvage, and be able to craft those items in the game as well. So it's not just something you would get from the add-on store to be able to make these things like elven swords and kobold weapons and things like that. It would be something through the crafting system and through the loot tables as well. So just want to make that clear as well. It's not just an add-on store thing. Okay. No Love says, now that you have removed the 4x skill points applied, will you be looking at adjusting any of the material costs for crafting recipes? Nope. And looking at the number of items crafted so far, there are plenty. It does not look like the amount of resources needed to make stuff is slowing down the amount of things being made in the game at all.
Yeah, just to clarify the math, by spending less experience, every time you use a skill, it spends a percentage of your total experience pool on that skill. When we slow down how quickly it gets applied, your pool keeps increasing until it's at the point that making that same thing again generates the same experience it used to, because your pool is 4 times as big. So that's the theory. Sometimes people have so many skills set up to everything set to advance, it ends up draining their pool anyway, so that doesn't happen. But that is the theory, and if players don't keep everything assigned to train, then all the passives, then that is how it will work.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. The other thing was the 4x multiplier was basically us trying to simulate back in the old days. We had the 3-month releases, and we were trying to simulate a year of play in 3 months. Is the reason for it, for those who missed it.
Yeah. All right. Grave Dancer would like us to explain why focus gen was reduced, and shouldn't food be used to buff, not get us back to 100% regen?
So I would love to hear any player out there tell me that they spend more than 30 seconds waiting to regen, heal up outside of a combat. It really is a matter of, like, the longest time is like maybe a minute. But I mean, really, I think mathematically it can't be long. But anyways, the point is, right now there was no downtime at all between things. None at all, even if you weren't eating food. And we're trying to get that to a point where it is something that you think about. It is something, I mean, compared to like old Ultima games where you didn't heal, or, it was just you only healed if you actually cast a healing on yourself. We're way, way, way more generous than that. Compared to pretty much any game out there, we're still way faster.
And yeah, and I would just like to double down. If anything, we're going to crank that down even further. We want you to be paying attention. I personally would support, if you've not been eating, you should not be gaining health back, period, without or health or healing spells.
Yeah, that's pretty much where it was during QA for those who played it. We just don't have enough food in there. We will be having probably some healing rate, but at a very slow rate. But yes, none
of this toggle out of combat and whoop, you're back to health, unless you're eating well.
It is going to be slower. The other thing is watching players play. No one ever has any focus issues. That's the other thing I continue to try to make more challenging is if you don't have to think about focus, then why do we even have it there? Why not just remove it completely? We're actually trying to make that something where you have to be, conserve your focus, and something you think about as part of the play mechanic. So that's another one that health regen, focus regen are going to go down, but also focus costs will probably continue to rise until it feels like it is something that players have to think about, and they can't just sit there and spam.
And there are other extenuating circumstances of why, and the goal is to make food an important component in that, but there's some problems with food that we realize, and agriculture in particular, and the fact that right now you can't make food without spending money, and in fact, like, it's even worse than that. You can't do agriculture without doing things like buying water, right? And so there's some fundamental flaws that we have to fix first. So right now, one of the goals for R35 is make it so anything that required to cook or grow can be either gathered or grown. So including water. So you're going to be able to start getting water from things like wells and fountains at the very least in 35. Long term, you'll be able to get it from other water sources as well, but at the very least, you'll be able to get it from wells and fountains. And any of the other ingredients that previously you were having to buy off merchants for cooking and things like that, you'll be able to we're working really hard to make sure you can either grow or gather them. And so once we fill those gaps, so you no longer have to go to merchants to cook all that food, then we'll have a functioning economy around that, and then it'll, it won't be this, oh well, now we're forcing you to spend all this gold to buy ingredients for the cooking to get your regen back up. no, it's going to be part of the player. So.
Players
And
are
look,
saying,
another place to fill up your bucket. Nice little bird bath here would be a great place to fill up a bucket.
yeah, players are saying, we'll be able to get water from rivers?
Well, eventually, yes. First, it's iterative development. It's easier for us to do it from objects, so the first pass will be fountains and wells because
Clean your sources, because rivers can be dirty. You gotta be
yeah,
careful.
rivers are real dirty, Novia, because the cataclysm. It's full of obsidian. All right, let's see. Tides asks, could we place certain bags, backpacks as deco items, containers? This will allow us to finally sort our items and start to supply bags for friends, guild members, etc. Yeah, right now the only placeable containers are actually furniture. We don't let you place bags and backpacks as deco items. Yeah, we can consider that for sure. Vaklav asks, can we add the feature to be able to swap out a place deed with another deed, like a tax-free deed with a taxable deed, without needing to unclaim the lot and losing/reverting all the deco work? Yeah, so there's a longer term feature that we want to support that would come out of this, where we want to make it so players could do secure trade with each other, so that like if I want to basically sell you this claimed lot, I could. So that would, in order to facilitate that, we would have to be able to facilitate something like this anyway. Unfortunately, either of those is fairly complex, so it's going to be a little while. But yeah, this is something we would like to support long term. Let's see. Governor Ruin, let's see, asks, the lots of these NPC towns have empty city keep town lots. Any chance of breaking some of those down to more usable row and village lots? Well, that's an interesting question. We don't plan on doing that because for several reasons. One, at any point, at least all the way up to city, people might want to, well, at any point someone might want to relocate to a different city. And if we just arbitrarily start breaking down these lots in these cities, that's going to change the percentages of available lots, and all those percentages were carefully calculated based on purchases that were already made. So we can't break down those lots because those lots are accounted for already. So we can't break down any lots anywhere. So those are exact numbers based on lots that we have sold already. So no.
There's a bunch of community questions.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get to the ones, and we're almost done with the ones that were already asked. So.
And on the side here, as you see, while Star answers questions, I'm pulling up important statistics that I know players want to hear, such as which player killed the most chickens this release?
We should add that every Postmortem.
Who killed the most chickens?
Who killed the most chickens?
Who did it?
The top player for killing chickens this release, 382 chickens killed by Litharian Silvermane. Close number 2 was Andromolite Oakhaven. I'll get some more better statistics for us here.
Let's see.
Time fillers.
Let's see. Juzzy asks, with concerns about population, would we consider lowering the cost of row houses on the store just until the world is full? I don't believe that would solve anything related to population, but it's an interesting question. Population is mainly related to the fact that we are not spending money on acquiring new customers. We're not marketing the product right now. Lowering the cost of row houses wouldn't affect our population. So we don't plan on lowering that cost. And in fact, a more effective way to distribute row houses is through the lottery, which is what we've been aggressively doing. So no, we don't plan on doing that. And it wouldn't address the problem you illustrate anyway. No Love wants to know, can we address the issue with the high spawn rates inside mines like Verdantis? The issue that we are solving is periodically we find spots where resources are not properly balanced with risk. And so I'm not sure there's an issue to address other than the fact that, at least from our perspective, we fixed an area that was undefended.
And
so,
just so players know, I think the people who've been paying attention already hate me, but I go through daily, possibly every other day, but definitely a couple times a week, and look to see what areas in the game are completely out of whack in terms of risk versus reward, and also just reward in general. And this is because when we look at the metrics, because we try to watch all the numbers, I know players like saying things, but we really have to look at the numbers and try to see what players are actually doing, what they're actually gaining. But we try and go and hammer those down to get them within some measure of comparable, risk versus reward to the other ones. Because at starting last release, really some of the scenes were 3 or 4 times out of whack compared to what they should be. So. We will occasionally whack some too much and need to pull them back up. Anyways, we continue to work on it. So if one does feel underbalanced or underpowered, then we will try and deal with it. We'll get these guys on camera. Let them say hi for a second.
Sure. Let's see. One last one from and then we'll start getting one from chat. Old Man Tempest says, are we planning on updating the look of the moon with the newer texture? So I don't know the nature of this question. We're pretty happy with the way the moon looks, unless there's a bug that we're not aware of.
Somebody wants it to be cheese, I think, too.
Oh, cheese. Well, everyone
Cheddar
knows
specifically.
Everyone knows the moon is made of cheese, Gromit. I don't know unless there's a bug with it. So. Yeah, we're not planning on changing it. Pretty happy with the way it looks, so don't know. Maybe we'll do some quick prizes, and then we'll jump into the community questions.
Prizes, yes. We got a few more, don't we, Lon?
Yes, we do. We have $10 in store credit going to Tyrion, 10 Kodos going to Raven, and a magical cycling die 12-pack goes to Natars.
Ooh,
and don't worry.
That rainbow stuff, right?
What?
Cycling die, that's the rainbow.
That's the rainbow stuff, yes. And the juggling zombie heads go to Duke Gregoire. And the Unity developers go to...
we have a couple of visitors from our Unity coming. Are you guys from the local office or visiting?
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
All right. Can you introduce yourselves to our fans?
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Raphael Ruland. I manage the partner management group, the developer base for Unity in North America and South America. So we're excited to be here. Portalarium office, first time. So it's a real treat.
Yeah. I'm Ace Reed. I'm a field engineer. I work alongside Raphael. Hopefully talk through some technical stuff today, and excited to be here.
So Raphael is one of the guys who helped us do the sort of Hail Mary at the very end, right before we went to persistence and with those issues we were having. So and made it so persistence would not have happened without Raphael and those guys. So thank you, sir.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You too.
Nice. How's it going?
Yeah, I'd like to just say hello and thank you to you guys as well.
All right, cool.
See you guys.
All right. Let's see. Cannibal Vox. Actually, I'm going to let Chris answer that one. Let's see. Scanning. Hero wants to know, could there ever be MIDI input for live music performances with real-world instruments?
In the long run, perhaps, but the thing that's magical about the ABC system is that it allows everything to sync very nicely, etc. real, native MIDI is a considerably more difficult problem. Eventually, we could at least, approach it, but no time soon.
Michikol asks, what's the proper way to handle bug reports that never get a response from QA? Should we repost them again in the forums until there were a response? Yes, unfortunately, we have really small QA team, very limited bandwidth. We were actually just talking about that over the last couple of days. We have a plan to help address this that we're going to announce, I think, very soon this week, hopefully. Yeah. Working with the community better. So for now, yeah, if you reported something last release and it's still in the game, unfortunately, I know it's frustrating. Report it again until you see somebody respond and say that it's been entered. I know that's frustrating, but yes, please keep reporting it until you see us acknowledge it. Let's see. Browncoat Jason wants to know, when can we expect to see other ranged weapons beyond bows, crossbows, slings, throwing axes, etc.? Probably not before the end of the year, but we definitely have some ideas starting at the Q1, beyond even just crossbows. But yes, and we have some ideas for, we actually want to revamp the way ammo works. But that's probably not going to be until Q1. But yes, new ranged weapons, not just bows. Cannibal Vox says that taunt and aggro seem real messed up, man.
So this is one of those bugs that gets opened and closed and opened and closed and opened and closed. I have not seen what the current state is. I have a lot of people who yell at me because they can't tank. It is working as expected last time I looked. But what I continue to hear from players in Discord and other places is that it is not working the way they want it to. So we will continue to look at it. Again, as I mentioned, this is one of those items that falls on multiple people, but it falls on the AI guy to make sure that they behave accordingly when they get aggro, so they know, changing their attacks correctly. But no, I don't believe it's working as well as it should. Yes, it sucks. We'll fix it. That's the short version.
All right. Lillian Fitterkill wants to know, are there any plans to reduce aggro range and possibly mob respawn rate in confined spaces? I usually find myself now surrounded by 3 to 5 elementals in the mines without intending to battle more than 1 or 2 at once. And they respawn after harvesting 2-3 nodes. I think this is...
and that is one that is a spot place by place. They just need to move them out more. Every creature, the AI aggro range is set in the creature prefab, so it all depends on the creature, and the elementals may just be a little higher than what the map guys are expecting, and they're not properly seeing what overlaps between things are. We do still have one of the issues I plan on addressing, which is if a creature in a group aggroes, the entire group aggroes, there's no way to really pull a single out of a group. That may also be contributing to the problem is they look like they're in the group, but they're in a group together, and so they all come at you. This is one of those, unfortunately, probably just needs to be handled case by case, position by position over time. The Keith and Dan, I forget their names, Sanyo and I forget Dan's name. Dan the man. Yeah. But anyways, they are nearly done with a lot of the works. The things that they have been doing, so hopefully they can get some time to polish that in the not too distant future.
Dan is also the guy who made the one-man band, too. Dan, the one-man band?
He didn't make the one-man band.
He didn't? Sounds good.
He's not an artist.
Oh. Okay.
World. Okay. Scanning. I'm trying to get stuff that I need Chris for, because the stuff I can answer.
Out of here quick.
Are there any intentions to add a considerable amount of new weapons to each melee class? If so, are they in the near future? So we don't plan on adding any new kinds of weapon archetypes. So as far as we're at least in the near future, it's still going to be the basic archetypes of one-handed sword, dagger, two-handed sword, one-handed bludgeon, two-handed bludgeon, one-handed polearm, two-handed polearm. But we are planning on adding a lot more variety and visuals associated with them that I was hinting at, of like Elven, Kobold, Obsidian, Norgard, etc. And there will be potentially some very slight variations in stats associated with them, but mostly those are going to be visual. So, and let's see. This is an interesting one. Anvar says, can Kotos for repair have some balancing? Right now, it's just one Koto, no matter what the quality of the item is. And maybe it should require more than one Koto based on the quality of the item.
So that one already has a little bit of balancing factor in that the more the quality of the item, the more pluses it has, the lower the durability on it's going to be. So the more often it'll have to be repaired that way. The thing that we have said in the past, and we still plan on doing at some point, although we know we will get evil looks from a lot of people, it's one of those things that adventurers will, and PvP people will curse us, and crafters will cheer for us, which is pretty much always somebody's happy and somebody's sad on these things. But we will probably make the costs to repair things over time escalate. So the number of Kotos basically pushing you over time to you have to throw it away basically, or else you're going to be paying 10 Kotos or something to repair something. So we do plan on doing that. The reason we haven't done that, or we haven't set any type of increasing over the number of repairs things yet, is right now I don't think anybody's happy here is happy with the rate at which things get damaged. It's still a little too rough on some weapons, too easy on some armor, so we'll continue tuning that. When we're happy with that, and we feel that things are being damaged at the right rates, then we will go in and we'll do that, crank up the Koto cost. But yes, I agree, right now people are not getting rid of weapons very much. But yes, plan to fix that and make it so over time they will be pushed to get rid of them.
Croft wants to know, will the software ever take a smaller amount of RAM? It seems each release the used RAM continues to climb.
I was just mentioning that at some point we said every third release was going to be a polish release. And we have not done any type of polish or performance release in a year. And that also, though, is one thing. The Unity guys are here. There's some issues that we need to talk to them about. Is we're seeing memory climb, but it's not showing up on anything that it should be showing up on. So that'll be one of those ongoing things. But at some point, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll have time in the next in Q4 to sneak in some work on that. But the big thing we're going to be trying to address sooner than that is the garbage collection issue, the hitching that people see, where you're playing along and all of a sudden you lock up for a half second, and unlock, because that, while memory can be bad, it doesn't get you killed in PvP or PvE or have you run off a cliff, versus the hitching, which can be really random and be the death of somebody in a PvP tournament. So yes, we do plan on doing that, and again, at some point we were supposed to do it every quarter, and we kind of forgot because we're trying to cram in so much other stuff still.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. We have time for, I think, one more, and then we'll do some prizes and then closing statements. And so, any thoughts on letting players add resources to things additively, like in a PvP battleground type environment where someone builds a structure and people gather resources and add them to the framework of the structure until it is built?
Oh, was I supposed to be paying attention?
If we want to have them say goodbye, we can connect with them again. Otherwise, we can just do a closeout. However you'd like to.
All right.
They're saying broke it again. YouTube is down to.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
yeah, it's dropping frames. Yeah.
Yep.
Internets. Okay. Well, maybe we should close it out because it's not liking us suddenly anymore.
Okay.
Star's gonna be
bye. Thank you.
Star's gonna be on answering questions. Reminder.
Yeah.
And I do need to definitely go talk to our Unity guys here so we can fix some of those problems that we just talked about. So.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
See you next time.
Thanks.
Hopefully.